PioCreat 3D. Now, I'm not sure I'm saying that name right. In fact, I'm not sure I'm saying any of these names right, but I'll do my best. PioCreat 3D are seen really as a sort of offshoot, and certainly in close collaboration with Creality. Now, Creality, of course, focused mostly on filament printers in the domestic market. PioCreat 3D have gone a different way. They've gone into the industrial sector with pellet printers. Pellet printers are just awesome things, actually. If you think about it, when you're buying a kilo of filament on the roll, you're paying somewhere between sort of 15 and 30 pounds for it. If you're buying pellets, you're going to be paying somewhere between £2.50 and £5 for the pellets. So enormously, very much cheaper, and of course recycling is very much easier as well, because you essentially just chop it into small bits and stick it in the hopper. But it's not the sole part of their core business. The other part of their core business is resin-based dental printers. Yes, they're dentures out there, specialised resins in high-quality resin printers. And they've decided to look at the domestic market and release this. This is the HALOT X1. Now, it was a Kickstarter campaign that only started a few days ago, April the 1st, in fact, and it's already reached its goals. Due for delivery, I believe it's the end of June 2025, so a few months away on delivery. And they, in their wisdom and kindness, decided to send me a review copy, for which I'm immensely grateful for. Two reasons, really. One is, you've already done some resin printing, and the quality and tolerances you can get with resin print far exceed FDM. The problem with them is, of course, they're a bit messier and more trouble to do, but certainly there's an awful lot of things you can do with a resin printer you can't do with a filament printer. One of the things I'm really keen on exploring, because of that quality, is looking at 3D prints that are transparent. If you try to do that with a filament, then it's difficult and disappointing, and it should be a piece of cake with the resin printer, so I'm very excited to try that. The other one is there's a couple of things that I've already come across that I thought were, well, awesome, really. The first one is they've decided to change the methodology and the way a print is printed. Normally, what you get is a tank of resin, and you dip the build plate in and raise the build plate out, and of course that's a lot of weight and leaves shaking. What PioCreat have decided to do is to leave the print bed still and move the resin tank. And the other one is a constant bugbear, because when you print a resin print on a printer bed, it's a bit like glue to a pancake. Getting it off is no easy task, and usually has to be gently persuaded with the scraper and a hammer. What PioCreat have done is a quick release print bed, and I'm really excited to actually see how that quick release print bed works in reality. So we're going to get this out of the box and have a look at it, obviously. So there it is out of the box, and actually it's a surprisingly heavy machine, and of course a heavy build usually means a quality build, and certainly with the weight you're going to get stability because it holds everything much more stable as it's moving around. What everybody's going for is ease of use. They want this thing to be basically a tool that you use. It's moving out from the tech nerd space into the kind of everyday use space where everybody can use it and use it almost immediately, if not immediately. And so a lot of design work is going into that to make these machines super easy to use. One of the things that's really cute is the electronics. The screen here's at the top. So your likelihood of spilling resin on there is, well, zero really, unless you're really shaking it up, hey? The top itself doesn't lift off like they used to. It swings back, and that's surprisingly convenient, because you're then not trying to find a space to put that top when you're fiddling around with resin or fiddling around with your models. The resin tank is right here. This resin tank removes just by pulling those two levers out, and the resin tank lifts straight out there. And you'll notice kind of a silvery colour. It's a silvery colour in this version because it's an early version. The later versions it'll probably be a black colour and be a different coating on it. This is an NACF film. It's a high resistance, high heat film. I like that, stretched tight as a drum. And the resin goes in there. The whole thing just slots back in place. And then there's these two lever arms, there's here, There we go. There's these two lever arms that lock that in place. Under there is the screen itself. It's a 10.1 inch 16K Ultra Mono screen split into type 92 light zones with the pixel size is 4 micrometers by 9 micrometers. So they're really going for accuracy. Weight of this, stability. It's got dual screws, one either side, to add to that stability so that it raises and lowers beautifully. And it's this bit that raises and lowers, not this bit. This bit is the actual build plate itself. In traditional machines, that's usually the bit that moves. This bit is held stably in here while this bit moves, and of course what that means is there's no levelling. You don't have to level it or anything like that because it's part of the machine, and the arm is a beautiful die-cast material. Yeah, it looks like die-cast magnesium actually, because it's really a big chunky bit of metal up there holding everything rigid. This lifts out like that, and there's two twist handles. If you twist the handles one way, they push these little bars out one side and the other, and then the other side does exactly the opposite, and that leaves your model straight off, because to be honest, it's a nightmare with a wet resin model trying to remove it, and I've had huge problems where I have literally taken the scraper and whacked it with a hammer to get the model off. This should pull that model off really easily, and I'm looking forward to that because model removal was certainly one of those things I dread. You tried doing this backwards. Anyway, it's one of the things I dreaded. Now, the machine itself is supposed to print at 170 millimeters per second. If you think about it, at actual lightning speed, it's probably 3 times faster than anything else, which is pretty good. It also comes with this little drip tray here, and you slide the drip tray in there. So again, when you're doing model removal, if you're using these bits, the chances of dripping resin are absolutely minute. The resin itself, now they do sell their own resin in their own bottles with RFID tags on it, and you can just use any resin and pour it straight into the tank if you want to. But the machine comes with this thing that they call their AFU, or automatic feed unit. Again, it'll take any resin, but once these tubes are connected to the tank here and connected to the resin bottle, then it will notice what the resin is, because this opens up by pulling down that bit, pulling up that bit. The bottle sits in here, and there's an RFID reader right there. So if you're getting the manufacturer's resin, it'll read what the resin is and set the machine for you. Again, all about ease of use. This goes on the resin bottle top, and apparently it's a universal fitting, so it should fit any resin, although if you're not using the one with the RFID tags, you may have to change the settings yourself. The RFID tags, a bit like bamboo, it'll just do it for you. It'll recognise the resin and do all the settings. That's got a lot of appeal for out of use, but the ability to use any resin, of course, means if you've got a bit of experience in it, then, well, you're going to be swimming, aren't you? You're going to be able to just get up and do anything. Right. So the next thing we need to do, obviously, is get this in place and pour some resin in there. So here it is set up and printing. Now it's got a build volume of 200 by 118 by 211, which is quite a sizable build volume when you think about the compact nature of the machine. I mean, it's about 20 or 30% smaller in terms of other machines that they do. And what you can see next to it is my wash station right there. And it's actually just about the same size as the wash station, which I find pretty neat. Now, what I'm printing on it is this stuff here. It's a waterable, washable, clear resin, because I want to give that idea of glass and lenses a go and see what happens. I got this from Nova 3D. If you buy PioCreat stuff, of course, it comes with the RFID tag. You put it on the unit, it'll do all the settings for you, and there's a scale in the bottom of this. To not only do that, it'll weigh it, telling you how much you've used and how much you've got left, which I thought was pretty neat actually. But I wanted to try it without all the twiddly bits to see how it would do with third party. So I got some of this Nova, poured it into the tank, and we've set the thing going. Now it is internally heated to get like an optimum resin print, fingers crossed. And we're going to print that off and see what happens when it comes to the result. Right, that's it done. Let's get it out. Now I use these water washable resins because they don't smell very much actually. The other resins that use IPA for the washing agent I find a bit stinky, especially as I'm doing this in my house. Right, let's get it off the bed. And then we can put it in the wash and cure station, and we'll give it a UV cure for about 30 minutes. You can also just pop this in the window, obviously. Okay, colour me impressed, eh? Look at that. That is meant to be a glass for a lantern, hey, which is why it's got this Fresnel shape. But if you look how see-through that is, that's actually quite amazing, to be honest. I'm quite impressed. Okay, so that is really cool, but let's have a bit of a better look at the software and the screen. Okay, so here's a slice of software. Now, it does come with Chatterbox Basic and Chatterbox Pro. Chatterbox Basic, I think, is really well known, and Chatterbox Pro, you get a free license for 3 months and then you have to pay for it. But I spotted this and I thought I would have a look at it because it seems to be specific for the HALOT X1, and I thought that might be cool. Now, when you look at it, it looks a little bit basic, but I don't mind basic. 90% of what you want to do is pretty basic anyway, and it's often quite nice to have a clean front end that you don't have to worry about. Now, you load the model either from the pull-down menu in the file, or here you can see model list, and we've got a little folder icon there which will jump us to the models we want to pull into here, and there's a delete icon for removing them, and it places them on bed plate. And you can see we can move it around the bed plate using these tools here. Now, when it comes to the next step, if we click next, it will jump to resin and pull up this screen here. This is the one where the RFID tag will take care of it for you if you're using PioCreat original resin with the RFID tag. But if you're using a different resin like me, you might have to set some parameters. And you'll see that something there says more parameters. If we click on that, we'll be able to pull up the parameter settings and set the parameters that we want to set. If we click next, then when we come to next on there we go. Then we come to support, and here is where you get the option to add the support that you want. Here we can change the position of it, and the next one we can do is export it. We can send it to the printer or export it locally, because like lots of these printers, of course, this one has Wi-Fi connectivity. When we've created the file, we can, as I say, send it to the printer, export it to local, which will be a USB, and we can stick that USB in the port on the actual machine itself. So when you turn it on, this is what you get. And talk about a clean interface. There's only 2 windows, print and settings. Obviously that's where we put the USB in the top there, and if we press print, then whatever is on that print list is going to come up, and we can press that, it will load it. And hey presto, we can then print it. If we go back, we can have a look at the settings, and the settings, that's pretty much what you'd expect. Have a look in this system settings, and that's where you enter the Wi-Fi code right there. So it'll search for the Wi-Fi, there it is, and there's my Wi-Fi, and I've clearly entered this already. So it's a pretty straightforward interface and pretty clean. Right, I was so impressed by that I created this thing, which is a Wollaston prism. Now, Wollaston prisms are actually using things called camera luciders. What happens is the light comes in there, gets bounced from here to here, and then from there to exit there. And if you're looking at a piece of paper here, and you've got an image here, the image gets superimposed on the paper, and you can draw around it. So, these aren't actually at optical quality yet. There's still a little way to go for that. But in terms of the clarity, absolutely astounding. Hey, this opens up a whole new world of possibilities for me. It makes me think about something, actually. When you read people using 3D printers that have a 3D printer of one type, it's either filament or resin, and you'll find them extolling the virtues of the type they're using, and this is fairly common. However, each has its own pluses and its own minuses, and the ability to produce something like that is really only doable in a resin printer. For all the best one in the world, you're never going to get close, anywhere near close to that on a filament printer. So the answer, of course, is if you can afford it, or if you want to do that, have both types and use them to their advantage. We use a resin printer to produce things like that. That's what a resin printer can do, and it does an awesome job. Other things, filament. So combine the two rather than try to do everything on one machine. I mean, you wouldn't try to drive nails with a saw, would you? So it's about really getting the best out of the tool that you've got. Now, in terms of the HALOT X1, I found the machine actually easy to use. It was a well-made, solidly built, well-designed machine that was absolutely easy to get into. I mean, it probably took me no time at all. The software is pretty straightforward. There's not much to say about that. And producing this, it was no failure. These came off straight away. So I had no problem at all with bed adhesion and no problem at all with the print runs. Of course, it is resin, so I did have to wash it and cure it afterwards, but using it was a breeze. I still have to explore the AFU a little bit. However, there was one slight problem that I was kind of disappointed by, and that's this, the bed plate. The bed plate, of course, hangs upside down, and as I said, there was no problem with the adhesion to the bed plate per se. It adhered beautifully. The problem came in removing it. You're supposed to be able to twist these two black bits here and pop the thing straight off, and that wasn't my experience of it. Twisting these here did remove this section from the bottom of the print, but then twisting it so they pushed back out again didn't have enough force to remove it from that section of the bed. And when I came to that, what I had to do is get a scraper underneath it and lever it off. Pretty much what you would have to do with the whole bed if the bed didn't twist. Now, I'm only slightly disappointed because the twisting it one way removed half of it and made the thing easier to get off, but it didn't remove the whole thing. Now, in all fairness, underneath here there's a couple of screws there that hold these levers. They're a bit loose, they're a bit wobbly. Maybe I should tighten those up, and maybe I'm not getting the right leverage that I needed. So maybe that's something that I would have to explore. But I like to use things straight out of the box without mucking around with them, just to see what the settings will do as it's factory set, because I'm a keen believer in the thing should be usable out of the box. Now, overall, the machine was very usable out of the box. I didn't do much more than just pluck it out of the box and plug it in. But with that, like I say, I was expecting it to pop straight off, and I was quite excited by that. It didn't. I had to help it once I levered it half off, which I thought was a bit disappointing, but that might have been down to me. But overall, awesome machine, does an awesome job. I believe the price is actually really cheap, but I'll put a link into in the description to the Kickstarter campaign that these guys are running. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and please do remember to like and subscribe.